The government of the Virgin Islands is not willing to have the UK take control of its finances after having run its own financial affairs for the past 37 years. This according to Premier Dr. The Honourable D. Orlando Smith, who held his first press conference since the National Democratic Party was sworn into power on Wednesday, November 9th. The Premier gave an update of the recently concluded Overseas Territories Consultative Council meeting, which took place in London from November the 23rd to the 24th, where the framework for fiscal responsibility was discussed with the UK Minister for the Overseas Territories, Henry Bellingham. Premier Smith said that although the framework was the UK's way of calling on the BVI to be more fiscally responsible, the Virgin Islands government did not sign the document, which calls on the government to submit its budget to the UK 2 months prior to being passed in the House of Assembly.
In that meeting, we discussed the major economic challenges facing the Virgin Islands. As you know, the territory has had to adhere to the borrowing guidelines. The framework for fiscal responsibility is an evolution of the borrowing guidelines. One of the elements in the fiscal framework is the requirement to send the budget to the United Kingdom 2 months prior to approval. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the United Kingdom government way of calling on the government of the Virgin Islands to commit to being more fiscally responsible. Ladies and gentlemen, we did not sign the document, nor did the United Kingdom government attempt to force us to sign it.
Honourable Smith said the framework was prepared as a result of the performance of the previous administration, and he indicated to Henry Bellingham that he was not prepared to pick up from where the previous administration left off. According to the Premier, as a result of talks with the UK Overseas Territories Minister, the BVI government was given time to re-evaluate the territory's financial situation, to put together a strategy to restore fiscal balance and responsibility.
The framework was clearly proposed by the United Kingdom based on the performance of the previous administration. We made it clear that we were not prepared to just pick up from where the previous administration left off, but rather to decide on the best way forward to economic viability. I thought it was important to remind Mr. Bellingham that this was my second time as leader of the BVI, but more importantly, that after 37 years of managing our own fiscal affairs, we were not prepared to now have them manage for us. I'm happy that I was able to successfully negotiate for more time to assess the territory's financial condition and to put forward an effective strategy to restore fiscal balance and responsibility. I'm really pleased that Mr. Bellingham was so receptive to our concerns and expressed so much his government desire for constructive engagement with these Virgin Islands. Representatives from the FCO are expected to visit in January of next year to discuss our various options in moving forward quickly.
The Premier said that the UK's plans to publish a new white paper on future relations between the United Kingdom and the overseas territories were also discussed at the meeting, and he again indicated that the BVI would require more time to carry out consultations with the public and public service on the UK-BVI relationship for input in the forthcoming white paper. The Premier said these public consultations will ensue within the upcoming weeks.